It is a sight many of us have become sadly accustomed to, a scene that plays out on the busy highways and quiet back streets of Nigeria. Imagine for a moment driving along the bustling Lagos-Benin expressway. You might see a woman walking aimlessly, her clothes tattered and her hair unkempt. She seems completely disconnected from the world around her, lost in a reality only she can perceive. The cars speeding past are just a blur to her. The noise and chaos of the traffic do not register. This is not just a random person, this is someone's daughter, perhaps someone's sister or mother, grappling with a severe mental illness that has stripped away her connection to our shared world. Her condition is visible in every aspect of her being. Her hygiene is poor, not out of choice, but because the illness has taken over her ability to care for herself. She might be talking to herself, gesturing at things no one else can see, completely unaware of the dangers surrounding her on the busy road. This is the raw, unfiltered reality for many individuals living with untreated mental health conditions in our country. They are not just statistics or distant stories. They are human beings living in the most vulnerable of circumstances, often without any form of support or protection, exposed to the elements and the judgment of society. This person's story is a powerful reminder of the deep crisis we face. Her detachment from reality is a symptom of an illness that requires medical intervention, compassion, and care. Yet she is left to navigate this terrifying internal world alone. People might look away, perhaps out of discomfort or fear, but turning a blind eye does not make the problem disappear. It only deepens the isolation that she and many others like her experience every single day. We must ask ourselves why this is so common and what it says about our collective responsibility to care for the most vulnerable among us. The Yoruba people have a wise saying, "One who is alive mustn't make fun of the mentally insane." This proverb teaches us a profound lesson about humility and empathy. It acknowledges that mental health is fragile and that any one of us could potentially face similar challenges. It's a call to treat those who are suffering with dignity rather than ridicule. However, while this wisdom exists in our culture, our actions as a society often fall short. We see the struggle, we might even feel a pang of sympathy, but we have not yet built the systems needed to offer real, tangible help. Beyond the public spaces, these struggles continue in the private confines of our homes, often shrouded in silence and pain. I heard a heartbreaking story about a young man, let's call him Jay, whose life was tragically cut short by a violent form of mental illness. His condition became so severe that for his own safety and the safety of those around him, his family felt they had no other choice but to restrain him. Chained in a room, his world shrank to four walls. His elderly mother was his sole caregiver, a woman already burdened by age and sorrow, doing her best to provide for him. When a friend visited Jay, the young man he once knew was gone. Jay was gaunt and pale, a shadow of his former self, and he showed no sign of recognition. His mother could only provide him with food, proper medical treatment was completely out of reach. This is the devastating reality for many families. They are forced to manage complex medical conditions with nothing but love and a desperate hope for a miracle. They are not cruel, they are overwhelmed. They are navigating an impossible situation with limited resources and even less information about where to turn for professional help. Tragically, Jay passed away in his chains. The weight of his loss was too much for his mother to bear. She had already lost another son to a similar illness years before, and this second loss broke her spirit completely. She passed away from what many described as a broken heart just a short time after her son's death. Her funeral was held the day after his, a devastating end to a family's long and silent battle. This story is not just about one family. It highlights a systemic failure to support both the individuals with mental illness and the loved ones who become their reluctant, unprepared caregivers. Jay's other brother, who also suffered from a mental health condition, had a different experience. Before his illness took hold, he was a successful businessman. His condition manifested differently. He was peaceful and would wander the village, writing verses from the Bible on walls with charcoal. Though he was also unwell, his gentle nature meant he was not seen as a threat. His story shows that mental illness is not a monolith. It affects different people in different ways. Yet, for both brothers, the outcome was the same: a lack of proper care, a life unfulfilled, and a family left to grieve in silence. So, why do so many families like Jay's avoid seeking professional medical help? The answer is complex and deeply rooted in our cultural and societal beliefs. In many parts of Nigeria, mental illness is not seen as a medical condition like diabetes or high blood pressure. Instead, it is often attributed to diabolical or spiritual causes. People believe it is the work of an enemy, a curse from a jealous neighbor, or a spiritual attack sent to destroy a family's progress. This belief is incredibly powerful and cuts across all levels of society, from the village to the city, regardless of a person's education. When you believe that an illness is a spiritual attack, your first instinct is not to visit a hospital. It is to seek help from a pastor, an imam, or a traditional healer. Families spend their life savings on prayers, deliverance sessions, and herbal concoctions, desperately hoping to cast out the evil spirit they believe is responsible for their loved one's suffering. This approach, while born from a place of genuine concern and faith, often delays or prevents access to the medical care that could actually stabilize the condition and improve the person's quality of life. The scientific explanation of chemical imbalances in the brain is often dismissed in favor of these more familiar spiritual narratives. This spiritual framing of mental illness creates a powerful stigma. Having a mentally ill family member becomes a source of deep shame. It is seen as a sign of a spiritual weakness or a dark secret within the family. To avoid judgment and gossip from the community, families choose to hide their loved ones away. They suffer in silence, believing that admitting the problem and seeking help from a psychiatric hospital would bring disgrace upon them. They fear being labeled, ostracized, or seen as a family that is cursed, a reputation that can affect everything from business prospects to marriage opportunities for other family members. This fear and shame are so pervasive that even in big cities like Lagos, where there are psychiatric hospitals and clinics, many people are hesitant to use them. The idea of walking into a Yaba left, a common slang for the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Yaba, Lagos, is terrifying for many. This hesitation is fueled by a lack of awareness and a shortage of positive stories. We rarely hear about people who have received treatment, recovered, and gone on to live successful lives. Without these stories of hope, the fear remains and families continue to choose isolation over the possibility of effective science-based care. Despite these immense challenges, it is crucial that we do not give in to despair. We must challenge the narrative that mental illness is a life sentence or that it must always end in tragedy, like it did for Jay and his family. Hope lies in our collective ability to foster greater understanding, empathy, and awareness. Change begins with conversation. It starts when we begin to talk openly about mental health in our homes and schools and places of worship, stripping away the layers of fear and misinformation that have surrounded it for far too long. We must start seeing mental illness for what it is, a health condition, not a moral or spiritual failing. Education is our most powerful tool in this fight. We need widespread public health campaigns that explain the science behind mental illness in simple, accessible language. These campaigns should be everywhere, on television, on the radio, and on social media, reaching people in both urban and rural communities. We need to share stories of recovery and rehabilitation to show that treatment works and that a fulfilling life is possible after a diagnosis. When people see that there is a path to wellness, they will be more likely to seek help for themselves and their loved ones, breaking the cycle of shame and secrecy. It is also vital to improve access to mental health care across the country. This means more than just building hospitals in cities. It means integrating mental health services into primary healthcare centers in villages, training more mental health professionals, and making care affordable. Community-based support systems where people can find help and solidarity without having to travel long distances can make a world of difference. When care is close, convenient, and compassionate, the barriers that keep people from seeking help will begin to crumble piece by piece. Ultimately, the goal is to create a society where no one has to suffer in silence or be chained in a room. We can build a future where a diagnosis of mental illness is met not with fear, but with support and a clear plan for treatment. Events like World Mental Health Day are important, but their spirit must be carried forward every single day. By working together to deepen our understanding and challenge old stigmas, we can ensure that life, not death, becomes the ultimate relief for those who are suffering. It is a long journey, But it is one we must embark on together for the sake of our brothers, sisters, and fellow citizens.